I wanted to ask you a couple things about the inside linebacker position. First, I was wondering if you have any update on Blake Martinez, where he's at, and if you know when he's going to be able to come back. And then a guy, Carter Coughlin, I know you guys moved him inside, and he's been getting a lot of reps. Like, what have you seen out of him so far?
Yes, I'll start with Blake first. Blake's back with us in the building today. He's his normal self, smiling ear to ear, being back with the team. He's always a lot of fun to have around. He's always got a good comment, but definitely a guy who communicates a lot in the meetings, so that's been beneficial having him back already. In terms of where and he'll be on the field with us, the plan right away is get him with the trainers and continue his kind of ramp up and build him back physically. When we know he's ready to go, we'll get him back on the field. In terms of Carter, Carter's a young player that we're looking to go ahead and just find as much versatility as we can from him. Last year he gave us some contributions on the edge, worked on special teams for us, did a good job there. We talked in the offseason about working him some in the stack as an inside linebacker. That's something we've challenged him with. He still has some outside responsibilities as well based on the package and call we're in. But Carter's actually flashed pretty positively in these first few days. I think a lot of the guys have done some positive things, and that builds on how we can use different guys that are skill sets. Being a new position for Carter, we understand there's going to be a learning curve at times. But look, one thing he does is he plays aggressive and he plays instinctual. So, he puts himself in position to be competitive on every practice. So we're just looking for constant improvement in him day by day. But, so far, everything that Kevin's asked him to do as an inside or outside linebacker, he's embracing.
Kevin Zero.
Yeah, Joe, with regard to Andrew Thomas, I'm just kind of curious, when these kids come in and are drafted so high, there's so much pressure on them and eyeballs on them. I wonder what your impression was on how he did perform last year and if you're already seeing in this offseason kind of a different, guy that's a little bit more in tune with the system and whatnot for, as you move into this camp.
Yeah, I think one thing about Andrew is he's always kind of the same person. That's one thing. He's very, very steady. Obviously, last year as a rookie, like all rookies, there's definitely a learning curve. And that learning curve includes how to manage, the external expectations and noise. But I'd say for Andrew, one thing he's done a really good job of is really buying into just focusing one day at a time, of having a narrow focus and understanding what the goal at hand is for that day. He's a very conscientious person. He's a really good teammate. He's a very hard worker. You definitely see some of the growth that he showed last year showing up. But then again, like all other players, it's early in training camp, and there's a lot of fundamentals that we have to constantly, work on with all of our players to keep building in that muscle memory that we've lost over this time away. He's no different from any player in that regard, although he works extremely hard at it, and every day he flashes several things that you say, okay, that's why this guy was, such a gifted athlete growing up.
Chris.
Hey, Coach, you got a young cornerback, a draft pick, Ladarius Williams, been a nice player. He seems to be a young man that oozes with confidence. Can you talk about him, what you've seen out of him, and can you give a little update on Lorenzo Carter, too?
Yes, I'll start with Zoe. Zoe right now is working with the trainers. We'll see where he is in terms of practice coming up. Today's a walkthrough, so I'll meet with the trainers later this afternoon. We have a list of players that may or may not be involved tonight. But Zoe, has been with the trainers the last couple of days, working extremely hard with them. He's obviously a guy coming off an injury last year that, as we get him going through football, this training camp, we've also got to manage him a little bit, make sure that we just keep tabs on his body to make sure as we get to the season that he can stay on the field consistently for us. And his health's our number one priority. In terms of Rowe, Rowe's a guy that's come in. He's got a lot of instincts. He's got good size and length, shows good speed. He's got instincts for the ball and shows good hands. So he's a guy that's shown up positively in a lot of practice as far as getting hands on ball. I think like all rookies, again, there's a learning curve for this guy. The big thing is understanding the scheme and the concepts right now. But he's doing a really good job with Jerome of working on his fundamentals and going forward, and this guy's making gains every day. You can see that one thing he does do that's positive, he learns not only from his own mistakes, he learns from the other guy's mistakes too. So as you sit in meetings, it's important not to go ahead and repeat a mistake that someone else got corrected on.
Brock,
Thanks.
Joe, is Zoe's injury due to his Achilles, or is it something else?
No, I'm not going to go into any specific medical diagnosis. It's not a re-aggravation of anything he's done before, though, to be honest with you, Tom. We're just going to be careful with a few things right there. And with anyone coming off an injury like he was, that we're just making sure that we have a plan entering training camp, how to handle him throughout it. So, with him and several other guys coming off injury, there's going to be periods within this training camp that, you're going to see a little bit less of him at times, and then you're going to see a lot of them. So right now he's in one of those periods accompanied with something else that happened in practice.
And can you talk a little bit about Todd Davis, who you just brought in?
Yeah, look, we're really we're looking forward to getting him on the field. He just signed with us, so we're excited about that. He'll come in and compete with the other linebackers of the position and work through his defense responsibilities as well as roles in the kicking game. Got to meet with him today, sit down face to face, and have a good conversation. liked his energy. I've known him as a player in the league for some time, but made a good first impression personality-wise, and I'm excited to get him on the field.
Jordan.
Hey, Joe. Curious what you think of the assessment that maybe the defense has gotten better, the offense so far early in camp, and how much do you maybe expect that to be the case? Or I know some people always say, the defense is ahead early in camp than the offense is.
I think we all have plenty to work on right now, Jordan. So in terms of who's ahead of someone one way or another, I'm watching tape every day and just looking at what corrections we have to make, what we have to improve on, what fundamentals need to be honed in, and how our conditioning is as a team. So in terms of who's ahead, offense or defense, that's going to go back and forth at different times day to day. So to me, that's not some kind of an assessment or status of the team of who's winning offense or defense. To me, it's about getting everybody on the same page and moving. Excuse me. So I just say, look, at this point right here, the defense made some positive plays yesterday. We got to make sure that we have a positive day today and what we're doing, and we build towards next week.
Were you happy with what you saw from the offense the last couple of days? It looked like after practice yesterday, they kind of huddled up as a group instead of before they broke down kind of into individual positions.
Yeah, that's not uncommon on any side of the ball to go ahead and group together as a unit. We meet as a team at the end of practice, go through really, it's more logistics than anything else. It's not a state of the union. We make sure the players are on the same page schedule-wise, and a couple tips and reminders of what to do before the next meeting comes up. So there's nothing uncommon about whether it's Pat or Jason or T-Mac grabbing a unit and addressing them directly right away after something may have happened, good or bad, or just a reminder leading into what they have to work on later that afternoon. So I wouldn't read too far into that. That's something that's very commonplace. The coordinators are always going to address their units collectively.
We got time for two more. Schwartz. Schwartz.
Hey, Joe. Hey, when you've said many times that you don't care, a guy's pedigree, first round pick, third round pick, free agent. When they come into your facility, you look at them all the same pretty much. When you look at a guy like John Ross, I mean, everyone knows his background and how high he was drafted. Do you see some of that in him and say, oh, I see why this guy was a former first round draft pick? And do those kind of guys get more chances because of that?
I'm not going to comment on any other organization in terms of what they're going to give opportunities for based on some kind of status, but I can, reconfirm what you said. Look, I don't care how you got here. I really don't. I don't care if you're a first-round free agent, vet, rookie, traded, whatever it is. Doesn't matter to us. Once you get in here, this is a land of opportunity. The best players will play. All right? You've got to show consistent dependability and production, all right, throughout training camp to show that we can count on you. We're going to keep the best 53 players. I don't care what your history is. Now, in terms specific to John, I've seen a lot of things in terms of how he's working and producing on the field, and there's been a lot of encouraging things to build on. Obviously, he has elite speed, and obviously he's a very good athlete. But there's a lot of fast guys. I mean, over in Tokyo, there's a lot of guys around handing batons off to each other that, can't help you on the field. I think John's definitely, got a skill set that he does a good job of combining, that speed and athleticism with football instincts. So in terms of what may have happened anywhere else with any player, I'm not concerned about that. I know John's on our team now. I'm happy to have him here. And, he's on a fresh start with us, so I'm looking forward to working with him throughout the remainder of training camp and then into the season.
Thanks.
Last one here. Ed.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask you about Brett Heggie. He's one of only 3 undrafted guys that you signed. What do you like about the kid? And, he's getting a lot of opportunities right now with Jonathan Harrison out. What has he shown you so far?
Well, I like the way he works, and that's in a meeting and on the field, and you can tell a lot about the demeanor of young players with how they handle correction. Obviously, as a rookie, there's going to be a lot of correction. That's not any fault of Brett or any other rookie right away. It's just the nature they don't know it all yet, and they've got to keep learning and experiencing it. One thing I like is he responds to correction the right way. He's looking to do it exactly the way, the coaches want him to do it within our concept and schemes. And that's something that's a challenge sometimes with different players from different places because they come in, they have a way they've been successful at doing something, and they have to understand that the technique may be a little bit different and how it fits into the big picture. But I like the way he works. He's a tough dude. He's got a lot of mental intensity about him. He's smart. He communicates well. It kind of helps him at the center position, obviously. But the one thing that's stand out about him so far is just his commitment to improving his work ethic. He's that quiet guy that when he's away from the coaches, you can kind of catch him come around the corner, and he's, holding court a little bit. But, he's a good student in the classroom, and he's a hard worker on the field.